The observation deck hummed with soft bioluminescent light as Ambassador Threll 9 adjusted his optical sensors. Below, through the reinforced transparent alloy, the human children slept in their designated rest chamber. 23 juvenile humans, their small forms curled beneath thermal blankets, their faces relaxed in what the humans called sleep. Fascinating, Threll 9 whispered to his assistant, his mandibles clicking nervously. They appear so vulnerable in this state. The Galactic Council had been studying humans for 3 standard cycles now, ever since their violent introduction to the wider universe. Humans, the apex predators from a death world called Earth, had torn through a Krell-raiding fleet with frightening efficiency. Now the Council needed to understand them, needed to know if coexistence was possible. The xenopsychology team had proposed this experiment: observe human young in their natural resting state. Perhaps in their most defenseless moments, the true nature of humanity would reveal itself. What they didn't know was that outside the observation facility, in the cold darkness of the station's exterior corridor, Kalen stood watch. Kalen had served in the Human Defense Corps for 12 years. He'd seen combat on 6 worlds, survived wounds that would have killed most species 3 times over, and earned more commendations than he cared to count. But tonight, his mission was simple: protect the children. The Council had assured human leadership that the children would be safe. Cultural exchange, they called it. A chance for young humans to experience life aboard a galactic station while scientists observed their behavior. Most humans had been skeptical, but the program had proceeded anyway. Diplomacy required trust. After all, trust, Kalen thought grimly, but verified he wasn't alone. Down the corridor, he could sense rather than see Martinez and Okoye, 2 more veterans positioned at strategic points. The Council didn't know they were there. Didn't know that every human child sent into space carried with them an invisible shield of warriors who would die before letting harm come to them. Inside the observation deck, Threll 9 was noting his findings. Subject Vash has awakened, he murmured into his recording device, displaying typical juvenile curiosity. Vash, a 9-year-old boy with dark curly hair, had indeed stirred. He sat up slowly, rubbing his eyes, looking around the dimly lit chamber. The other children remained asleep, their breathing steady and deep. Interesting, Threll 9 continued. The young one shows no signs of predatory aggression upon waking. Perhaps the theories about human juveniles being less dangerous have merit. Vash stood, padding quietly across the floor in his bare feet. He moved to where a smaller child, his sister, according to the files, had kicked off her blanket. Gently, carefully, Vash pulled the blanket back over her, tucking it around her shoulders. Then he returned to his own sleeping mat. Threll 9 felt his bioluminescent patches flicker in confusion. The dominant juvenile cared for the smaller one, showed no territorial aggression. This contradicts expected predator behavior. What Threll 9 didn't understand was that this was exactly human predator behavior. Humans protected their pack, especially the young ones. Outside, Kalen's comm unit buzzed softly. Martinez's voice came through, barely a whisper. Motion detected, Sector 7. 3 Krell signatures. Kalen's blood went cold. The Krell, the same species that had tried to raid human colony ships, that had declared humans acceptable prey in their first contact. What were they doing here? Rules of engagement, Okoye asked quietly. They get within 50 meters of that chamber, we go loud, Kalen replied. I don't care about the diplomatic incident. Inside, Vash had noticed something the observers had not. A ventilation panel, slightly ajar. And through it, the faint scent of something wrong. Something predatory, but not human. The boy's instincts, honed by millions of years of evolution on a world where everything wanted to kill you, screamed danger. He moved quickly but quietly to the oldest girl in the group, shaking her awake. Emma, he whispered. Something's wrong. Emma, 12 years old and already training for the Junior Defense Corps, was alert instantly. She trusted Vash's instincts. Wake the others. Quietly, Threll 9 watched in amazement as the human children organized themselves with military precision. No panic, no screaming. Within 2 minutes, they had formed a defensive cluster, the older children on the outside, the younger ones protected in the center. Extraordinary, Threll 9 breathed. They sensed danger. But how? The answer came seconds later when alarms blared throughout the station. 3 Krell infiltrators had been detected. They had bypassed security and were headed toward the observation facility. Headed toward the children, Kalen and his team moved like shadows given lethal purpose. The Krell never saw them coming. Martinez took the first one down with a blade to the throat, silent and efficient. Okoye disabled the second with a neural disruptor at point-blank range. The third Krell, larger and more experienced, managed to fire his weapon. The plasma bolt seared past Kalen's shoulder, burning through his armor. He didn't even flinch. He simply closed the distance and drove his combat knife through the Krell's chest cavity. The entire engagement lasted 11 seconds. Inside the observation chamber, the children heard nothing, saw nothing. But Vash smiled slightly, a knowing look in his young eyes. "It's okay now," he told the others. "We're safe." Emma nodded. She'd felt it too. That subtle shift in the air, the sense that somewhere nearby, violence had been done on their behalf. The Threll 9 was frantically checking his sensors, trying to understand what had happened. The Krell were dead. Human security forces were already on scene, but they'd arrived after the threat was neutralized. By whom? Then he saw it on the external cameras. 3 figures in black armor, melting back into the shadows. No insignias, no identification, just humans, doing what humans had always done, protecting their young. "Ambassador," his assistant said quietly, "I believe we have fundamentally misunderstood human nature." Threll 9 watched as Vash laid back down, the children settling once more into peaceful sleep. But now he understood the truth. Human children could afford to sleep peacefully, could afford to be gentle and kind and curious, precisely because somewhere in the darkness, human adults stood guard. The galaxy had called humans predators. Monsters. Deathworlders. They were right. But they'd missed the most important part. Humans were predators who protected. Monsters who loved. Deathworlders who would burn the universe down before letting harm come to their cubs. And that, Threll 9 realized with a mixture of terror and hope, made them the most dangerous species in the galaxy, and perhaps the most necessary.